So the next one is oral signs, body discharge. I just threw in a dip. I'm gonna come over here where you can see it. Have a little spit. So in a few minutes, the spit is gonna draw into the leaf a little more, making it darker, easier to spot. But in the meantime, let's look at what this nasty habit looks like. And we compare it to chestnut. So is this, perfect. So you can obviously see a clear difference. This one's a little darker naturally, but you can see obviously the moisture, the shine, one of those 7 signs that we see spore. And if you look close enough, you see all the granules of the dip. And I can also go ahead and smell it. Actually, yeah, that's clearly, it smells a lot stronger than urine, I'll tell you that. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw my dip out. So from here, you go ahead and kind of, let me see real quick. Okay, so there's some Copenhagen right here. I don't see it on camera. I don't see it on camera, but I can see the shine from the sun without the camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and shine some light on here. And hopefully you'll be able to catch some of the shine on it. Right, there it is. It's a little bit of shine, much easier to see in actual daylight. Okay, so I'm gonna show you here in a second what really fresh spore looks like on a dry rock. What I'm gonna do is just put some water on my boot, and this would be what it looks like if someone crossed a creek or a river and then was traversing up and stepped on some rocks and you're fresh on the trails. So I'm gonna get some water real quick. So right away, you can see the shine. You can see the water running down. There's no reason there should be water here. And looking back at, the bottom of my boot, does this have any resemblance? Right now, a slight amount. I got 2 center pieces, 2 outer pieces, 2 upper pieces. I simply look at the bottom of my foot. I simply look at the bottom of my foot and confirm that that's a very similar design. So just about 2 minutes later, you can see the shine is pretty much gone, but I still have that moisture, which is a really big, drawer of the eye. So I can come here, again, feel, compare. This feels cooler than this does, and it does feel damp. Another indicator you got fresh spore. So as you saw, I just stepped on this branch intentionally, and what would catch your eye on this is primarily the color. So you have, again, your baseline, this kind of grayish, brownish hue, a little bit of white, and all of a sudden you bump over to this, and you have this nice, bright, fresh color. The inner part of the tree being exposed. After a few months, this will be the same color as everything else, but there's another eye grabber for you. So you would sit here, study this, footprints, track, spit, urine, observe your surroundings, but this is what catches your eye, and you can start looking for spore right here. So going back to the action recollection, I distinctly remember, Dave taking a spill as he was coming up a hill, then we cut left, saw the deer bedded down against a tree. I want to say it was an oak. And as I'm walking here, this all seems familiar. I see a clear game trail, which I remember seeing when we were tracking the deer. There's still a little bit of blood on the ground. And that's the tree, which is an oak, I believe, that the deer was bedded down at. So this is all a good sign. We're pretty close to where we were before, which means we may be closer to our actual vehicle. So we're gonna look a little farther and see if we can find that action indicator of Dave taking a spill. Let's go. Okay, so I don't see a whole bunch of spoor, but I'm pretty confident this is where Dave and I were. But something I failed to mention in the beginning, you don't want to contaminate the spoor directly. So if I'm walking on my own tracks, I'm screwing everything up. So if I have, tracks running right here, I want to stay off those tracks, especially if I have to go back and do lost spoor procedures. Now I have fresh new prints. It's a world of mess. So do your best to stay off the actual tracks and off the spoor. Okay, so truth be told, now as we're doing this video series, it takes time. So we did the tracking phase about 4 to 5 weeks ago. I want to show you what it looks like, 4 to 5 weeks after, an action indicator takes place, which is Dave taking a little spill, nothing crazy. He just lost his footing, landed on his hands. But right here, I'm looking at a few things. It looks like some of these leaves, there's like a little cliff here. I don't see that anywhere else. My baseline tells me I'm not seeing that really anywhere else. So there's a good chance what happened is Dave stepped here, hit this tree root, lost his footing and slid down. Another thing that tells me that happened is this injury in this pine. Little discoloration, that's not brand new. So that is not super fresh, but it's definitely not old. That discoloration, that little bit of yellow, that's an indicator that's been broken recently, which confirms this is likely where Dave was. Also, this discoloration, I don't want to disturb it too much. This discoloration doesn't match this color. So compare and contrast, that stands out a little more. So how that would look fresh, there's a little bit of color difference. This just looks a little damper. This looks a little drier. Old, brand new. And to show you what it looks like, so this is pine, about 5 weeks old. I'm going to show you what pine looks like, fresh discoloration. So this is almost whitish. That still has a little yellowish hint to it. So this breed or species of pine does this discoloration phase depending on the weather. Old, fresh. Something very easy to miss. It's a spider web that's been broken. And sometimes you'll get lucky and have a little flag, a little strand of leaf blowing in the wind. So tracks here. This does seem familiar. I do believe you've been here, and there's all sorts of spoor down here, broken branches, but I want to go over a broken spider web. That's your little natural flag, is a little leaf blown in the wind by a spider web. Something has gone by here and it matches the tracks that we're on. Another piece of spoor that can boost your confidence. All right, so a lot of the stuff in tracking is attention to details. So you just saw me step over this log. So there's a few things I can take from this. I'll start with this. All the punk, all the stuff that's flying away now, that's still present, it's breezy. That's very, very fresh. Doesn't really pertain to our scenario, Dave and I getting lost. Again, this whole series right now is on teaching you, some man tracking or self-tracking tips. So here's something you can look at is, this punk is still here. You can see how easy it is for it to blow away. So the fact that there's still punk or powder there tells me that's fresh. 2, I can see this is damp. I can see this is dry. I'm gonna go ahead and feel this. Feels dry, feels warm, feels cool, feels damp. That means something was covering this and got knocked over, like this bark that was here. So, I already knew, because I just recorded this, there's, a big piece of bark here. So here's what it looks like. You got moisture, you got punk or dust, and you still have some remnants left over. And before I messed with this, these little sections were oriented as such, so it kind of looked like that. So this little section right here, this one piece, I can tell direction of movement, whether it was going that way or this way. I know it was going this way because the attachment point or the origin, this bark, it was still somewhat attached, telling me something drug its foot or hoof, whatever it is, pulled it away the direction it was going. If it were going this direction, this would be oriented as such. So what it would look like, use this for a better example. Little indicator, something's going this way, or drag its foot downward, not upward. So this would be an upward indicator. This would be a downward indicator. So what we're going to focus on is this rock right here, undisturbed. All I'm going to do is drag my foot across it. So if I'm walking nice and lazily. Now we're going to break down what we see. You already saw what it looked like before I scuffed it up. So now we're going to take a direct look at the rock. May not seem like anything special at the moment until you go back and get your baseline, which would be something more like this. Nice, fully covered rock. Undisturbed, 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 no, undisturbed. And then you come here and you see this is kind of cleaned off, and we got a bunch right here. Is there enough that would have covered this rock? Yes, there is. So there is your condensed little lecture on man tracking or self-tracking. This is something you absolutely positively have to go out and experiment with yourself. Go ahead and have a friend walk through the woods and watch as they walk and see how they disrupt the floor and get a feel of the environment and see what it looks like. Have them break some leaves, have them bruise some leaves so you know what it looks like. Have them, study their footprints. You got to do your homework with this. Hopefully it's a lot of useful information you can use. I know I can, and I have before. Just remember to stay alive as long as you can. Bye.
If you'd like to learn more about the Piked Antler Project, or you have requests for survival-related content, click on the Facebook link in the description and message us with your ideas. Stay alive as long as you can.